Today's lesson we're going to look at word problems. Word problems is still part of algebraic equations. So the specific objective that we're going to look at is solve word problems by translating them into linear equations. In the previous lessons we already looked at how to solve linear equations. So what we basically have now is word problems that we need to translate them into equations and then solve them. So translate the following word problems to linear equations and solve them. So when translating word problems to linear equations, we must keep in mind of the four operation signs: the addition, the subtraction, the multiplication, and the division. Which terms refers to addition? For example, when a problem talks about a number increased or a number has been added to, terms like increase, added to refers to addition. When we refer to subtraction, we'll be using terms like decreased, subtracted from, less than, and so on. Multiplication, we'll be looking at terms like a number multiplied by. Then you need to know that you need to use the multiplication sign of, and it says that the product of a number and 10. It means that we need to use the multiplication sign. Terms such as quotient, divided by, a quarter or a half, a number is being halved, then you know that you need to use the division sign. So those four operation signs and the terms that are used must be taken into consideration when we are solving word problems. Alright, so now let's look at the first question. If 10 is added to 3 times a number, the result is 34. What is the number? So when you're solving a word problem, you need to be very, very careful with translating of words or terms. You need to understand the question clearly before you start answering. Try to read it once, twice, or thrice for you to get it. Alright, now it says if 10 is added to 3 times a number. This basically means that there was already a specific number, then 10 has been added to it to get 34. So what is this number that was being multiplied by 3? Because it says 3 times a number. So the number that we're looking for, since it's unknown, we'll be using the value of x. So in all of my equations, I'll be using the value of x to find this number that is unknown. So if 10 is added to 3 times a number, so I have 3 times a number, this is the number that we are looking for. 3 times a number means 3x. Now 10 is added. Added means I have to use the addition sign. So 10 is added to 3 times a number. The result, the word result means that I need to put my equal sign. Since I'm busy with equations, the result is 34 equals to 34. What is the number? So now we need to find what x represents. So 3x plus 10 equals to 34. So what happens here is I need to be left with where the variable is. I need to be left with the term that is a variable. So first and foremost, I'll first get rid of the positive 10. Now to get rid of the positive 10 means that I must get a 0. Now in order for me to get a 0, I need to bring in the opposite of positive 10, which is minus 10. So I'll bring down the 3x, that's our positive 10. To get a 0, I'll introduce minus 10. So if I introduce minus 10, then I must as well introduce minus 10 on the right hand side. Because with linear equations, whatever is applied on the left hand side must be applied on the right hand side as well. So I have my equal sign, the 34, we bring it down. Since we introduce minus 10 on the left hand side, we introduce minus 10 as well on the right hand side. So working it out, starting from the left side, this will be 3x, we bring down the 3x, positive 10 minus 10 gives us a 0. So we have now removed the positive 10, we got rid of positive 10. Now 34 minus 10 gives us 24. So at this stage is 3x equals to 24. So 3 multiplied by a number, this is the number that we are looking for. 3 multiplied by this number will give us 28. So what is this number? So to get this number, since there is a multiplication sign here, the opposite operation sign of multiplication is division. So in other words, if there is a multiplication sign here, I'll bring in the division sign. So what do I divide with? I'll divide by 3. Why? Because I need to get rid of this coefficient of 3 so that I'll be left with only variable x, because x is what we are solving. I cannot divide by 24 because if I divide by 24, the x will still be multiplied by a coefficient. It won't get rid of, we won't be able to get rid of the coefficient first. So in order for me to get rid of the coefficient, I need to divide this term by 3. So if I divide by 3 this side, I will divide by 3 as well on the right hand side. So whatever you do on the left hand side must be applied to the right hand side. So I'll just bring this up there. Okay, so I have 3x divided by 3 equals to 24 divided by 3. So this 3 divided by 3 will give me a 1. So 1 with a variable of x, so I'll have 1x. So algebraically we don't say 1x, but we only say I have letter x, and that's what we are looking for, because that's what we need to leave on the left hand side to make it subject of formula. So we have 24 divided by 3, it will give us 8. So in other words, the number that we are looking for, the letter that we are looking for, the number which is unknown, is 8. So now once you have solved this, to make sure that your answer is correct, you need to substitute the number that you have found back into the question itself. So if 10 is added to 3 times a number, 3 times a number, that number is 8. So 3 multiplied by 8 will give us 24. And then 10 is added, plus 10, it will give us 34, which makes this statement true. Then we know that our answer is correct. Moving on to the second question. If I multiply a number by 3 and then add 4, the answer is 13. If I multiply a number by 3, multiplying a number, this is unknown number. So if I have to multiply it by 3, that would be 3x. And then add 4. Add 4, we use our addition sign, plus 4. The answer is 13. So this term indicates that I need to put my equal sign. The answer is 13. So find the number. So what does the value of x represent? What is this number that when we multiply it by 3 and then we add 4, the answer is 13. That's what we need to find out. Okay, at this point, I have 2 terms on the left hand side. So in order for me to get rid of the positive 4, because my focus is on variable x. So in order for me to get rid of the positive 4, I have to bring in the opposite of plus 4. In that case, it will be minus 4. So if I bring in minus 4, on the right hand side, I already have 13. So you just bring down the 13. Now on the left hand side, I brought in minus 4. That means that I must also bring in minus 4 on the right hand side. So getting back to the question, 3x plus 4 minus 4. These ones are like terms. So when I subtract them, I'll get a 0. The focus is for us to get rid of the positive 4. So I have gotten rid of the positive 4 by bringing in minus 4. So if I bring in, if this gives me a 0, then I'll only be left with what? 3x. So we bring down the 3x because that is a 0 equals to 13 minus 4, that gives us 9. So 3 multiplied by a certain number gives us 9. So what is that number? Like I said, this is a multiplication sign between the 3 and the x. So whenever we have a multiplication sign, we bring in a division. When we have a plus sign, we bring in the minus sign. So that's how the operation signs work together when it comes to word problems. Alright, or when it comes to all linear equations that we need to solve. So I must get rid of the coefficient of 3. So to get rid of coefficient 3, I'll divide by 3. So whatever I apply on the left hand side must be applied on the right hand side as well. So 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. And then I'm left with what? I'm left with variable x on the left hand side. Equal sign, 9 divided by 3 will give me 3. So this unknown number that we've been looking for represents 3. So meaning 3 multiplied by 3 is 9 plus 4, it will give us 13. It's very important that whenever you are done solving your word problems, get your answer, put it back into the question to make sure that the statement is true. You must be able to get the answer that has been given to you. Question 3. If I multiply a number by 2, if I multiply a number by 2 and then subtract 5, the answer is 8. Find the number. If I multiply a number by 2, that means that it's a number which is variable x, I multiplied by 2, and then subtract 5. So it will be minus 5. The answer is 8, equals to 8. Find the number. So what is the value of x? What does x represent? So we have 2x minus 5. I have 2 terms on the left hand side. So what do? I need to get rid of first of the negative 5 or minus 5. So to get rid of minus 5, in order for minus 5 to give me a 0, I need to bring in a positive 5 because minus 5 plus 5 gives me a 0. So I have 2x minus 5, I bring in plus 5, equal sign. I brought in positive 5. On the right hand side I already had 8, so you just bring it down. Now since we brought in positive 5, we should as well bring in positive 5 on the right hand side, because whatever you apply on the left hand side of an equal sign must be applied as well to the right hand side. So I have 2x minus 5 plus 5. These are like terms. So minus 5 plus 5 gives me a 0. So what am I left with? On the left hand side I'm only left with 2x. And then on the right hand side I have 8 plus 5. These are like terms. So when we add them up together, they'll give us 13. So 2x equals to 13. So what is this number that when I multiply it by 2, it will give me 13? So to find that number, we need to get rid of the positive 2. So to get rid of the coefficient of 2, I will divide by 2 both sides. So 2 divided by 2 will give me 1 with variable x. So my answer will be, I'll be left with x equals to 13 divided by 2 gives me 6.5. So the number that we are looking for is 6.5. So I think of a number, multiply that number by 2, meaning 6.5 multiplied by 2 will give us 13. And then you subtract 5 from it. So 13 minus 5, it gives us 8. So this answer, which is 6.5, is true because I'm getting an 8 when I substitute the 6.5 into the equation. Question 4. I think of a number. Think of a number. So that's my number. Multiply it by 3. That would be 3x. And subtract 5. Minus 5. The answer, so I'll put my equal sign, is 19. Equals to 19. We need to keep in mind that terms such as the answer, the result, I get, it gives me, basically means that we need to put our equal sign. So those terms refers to equal sign. Find the number. So we need to find what the value of x is. So 3x minus 5 equals to 19. So I have 2 terms on the left hand side. I have 3x and I have minus 9, minus 5. Yes. So I'll bring down the 3x. In order for us to get rid of the minus 5, we bring in the opposite, which is plus 5, because we need to get a 0 such that we are only left with a coefficient that has a variable, or the term that has a variable that we are trying to solve. Equal sign, 19. So we brought in positive 5 into the equation. We should as well bring in positive 5 onto the right hand side of our equation. Okay, so 3x, let's look at the like terms. Minus 5 plus 5 gives me a 0. So if this results into a 0, then I'll be left with 3x. So we just bring that down. Equal sign. Remember, your equal sign must just be there in the middle. You are not supposed to put another equal sign on the left hand side. So 19 plus 5 will give us 24. So 3x equals to 24. 3 multiplied by a number gives us 24. So what is this number that when we multiply it by 3, it will give us 24? So our focus is for us to be left with variable x. So we need to get rid of the coefficient of 3. Now to get rid of this coefficient of 3, I'll bring in a division sign. Why? Because the 3 is being multiplied by x. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I'll divide by 3. Such that these 3 divide exactly into each other for me to be left with only letter x. We do not divide by 3x here, because if we divide by 3x, everything will divide exactly into each other, leaving us with nothing to solve. So we are looking for the value of x, so we only divide by the coefficient which is being multiplied by the letter. So if we divide by 3 here, we'll be left with variable x equals to 24 divided by 3 gives us 8. Meaning the number that we've been looking for is 8. So we have to check. Take this value that we have calculated, put it back into the equation. I think of a number, that number is 8. Multiplied by 3, meaning 8 times 3 is 24. And subtract 5. So from 24 minus 5, I'll get the number which is 19. Alright, question 5. I think of a number. If I add 4 and multiply the result by 5, the answer is 35. Find the number. I think of a number, that would be x. If I add 4 plus 4 and multiply the result, the result that is being meant here is that you multiply the answer that you should get when you add 4 to x. Now in this case, since these are unlike terms, we have to introduce the brackets. Why am I introducing the brackets? Because we should first get this sum, and then it's this sum that we are going to multiply by 5 according to that statement. So multiply the result by 5, the answer is 35, equals to 35. Find the number. Now, considering that this question or this linear equation has brackets, we need to first multiply out brackets. To multiply out brackets, we must use the distributive property. So meaning the 5 multiplied by x, that will give us 5x. The 5 multiplied by positive 4, that will give us positive 20. So the brackets are now out. We bring down our equal sign and 35. So getting back to this is the same way that we have been solving all these other equations. That's how you're going to solve this equation as well. So 5x plus 20 equals to 35. So I need to get rid of the positive 20. I have 2 terms here on my left hand side. So I'll bring down the 5x. That's my positive 20. This is what I want to get rid of. So I'll bring in the opposite, which is minus 20. So if I bring in minus 20 here, I must as well, the 35 is on the right hand side, I must as well bring in the minus 20 to the right hand side. So 5x plus 20 minus 20, these are like terms. When I work them out together, they will give me a 0. So the only thing that I'll be left with on the left hand side is 5x equals to 35 minus 20 leaves me with 15. So I just move this up. So what do I have here? I have 5x equals to 15. So what is this number that when I multiply it by 5, I'll get 15? Basically, I'm sure you all know. 3 times, what number gives us 15? Yes, that number. All right, so 5x equals to 15. So what do I do in order for me to get the value of x? I'll divide by 5. Okay, so 5 divided by 5 gives us 1, and then we are left with variable x. And then 15 divided by 5 will give us 3. So the number that we've been looking for is 3. Let's test this statement to find out if it's true. I think of a number, so the number is 3. If I add 4, 3 plus 4 gives me 7. If I add 4 and multiply the result, meaning the result that we're talking about is now what answer do you get when you add 3 to 4 or 4 to 3? So 3 plus 4 gives me 7. So that is the answer or the result that must be multiplied with 5. So 7 multiplied by 5 will give us 35, which makes this statement true. All right, so I'll leave you with question 6 to answer. John thinks of a number. He adds 3 to the number, multiplies the result by 4, and then gets an answer, of 10. Find the number. John thinks of a number. He adds 3 to the number, multiplies the result by 4, and then gets an answer of 10. Find the number. Thank you. That will be all for today.